but more. A theological reading of literature takes human experience seriously enough to examine it through the grid of divine revelation. It's the sacred, dignifying task of placing our collective story, told through literature, in conversation with God's story. It's listening to the stories of human experience with ears attuned to questions raised, the mind engaged in theological interplay, and the heart sensitive to the concern of human persons and the God whose image we all share. An example may help. To read Richard Wright's Native Son with empathy is to put yourself in Bigger Thomas's traumatized existence, walking hundreds of pages in his protagonist's shoes. But to read Native Son theologically is to do one better. It is to walk farther in Bigger's shoes, not ending our journey once we reach the road to empathy, but seeking to reach the road to Emmaus, finding the intersection between the story of Bigger and the story of Jesus. A theological reading also considers that Wright, the author of Native Son, has something interrogative and constructive to say to our faith as we reflect on what that challenging message might be. To read Black literature through a theological lens is to affirm the dignity of these stories, the wisdom of these authors, and the power of God's revelation to speak a word to us amid our collective lived experience. The possibility of reading Black books theologically. Literature is ripe for this sort of theological reflection precisely because literature is story, and story preserves and explores our existential longings and our experiential wanderings. Reflecting theologically on literature is not far from reflecting theologically on life, in all its piercing pain, profound confusion, and glimpses of joy. Literature as story not only captures and portrays, it also has explanatory power. It seeks to make sense of life in the world. In Invisible Man, Ralph Ellison presents such a question. But what kind of society will make them see me? For just and whole believers, such an inquiry cannot be answered only sociologically. The question begs to be read as a theological ask. How do we see and order human relation so that God-given dignity of people is seen, not denied? By trying to make theological sense of our stories, we seek to bring the human predicament into the light and sense of God's kingdom. All of which means that thinking theologically about seminal African American literature to embody a more whole and just faith is especially valuable, though rarely done. Because one's lived experience shapes one's theological inquiry, African American literature is a potent resource for theological reflection. Our literature lays bare the core concerns of modern Black experience, to which our faith has something to say. In a significant way, this book is a broadly Christian and a Black Christian project, because a key source of reflection is the themes and concerns of Black experience represented in the literature of some of our greatest 20th century authors. The benefits of reading Black books theologically. I see at least 3 primary benefits of reading classic Black literature with a theological perspective. First, such a reading provides edification and encouragement by demonstrating the coherence of Christianity and Black experience and concern. Second, it offers a constructive challenge by illuminating the blind spots where our faith and practice have not attended to the concerns of Black experience through a lived biblical ethic, proof of a truncated righteousness and a malnourished theological imagination. Third, it provides invitation by showing us new areas where creative and faithful reflection and practice are needed. Alongside these, there are the literary benefits: empathy, imagination, understanding. It is my profound joy to introduce listeners to some of the most riveting texts in our literary tradition and to add a new lens of exploration for those who know these texts intimately.